You are listening to a programme from BBC Radio 4.
The Reverend Dr. Rob Marshall, who is priest at St John's, Digswell, Welwyn Garden City. Morning, Robert.
Good morning, John. The vast outpouring of grief and the sense of loss which filled the airways yesterday as listeners sent in their personal memories of Sir Terry Wogan, most particularly, of course, on Radio 2, but also across the whole of the BBC, reveals something important about how deep-rooted broadcasting is in our national life, as well, of course, as the extraordinary affection in which this giant of a broadcaster was held. Helen Bowden, the director of BBC Radio, suggested that Sir Terry's secret was to sound as if he was only ever talking to one person. Terry encapsulated that when he stood down from his own breakfast show. "Thank you for being my friend," he said, addressing his audience as if it were a single individual. But it worked beautifully, and listeners reciprocated in the same mode. He was the only passenger who'd been in every car I'd owned over the past 30 years, one listener texted in. And this is surely how Terry became a national treasure. He may, at the time, have had the biggest audience on British radio, but he was only ever talking to you, and intimately, walking the dog, buttering the toast, or just waiting to get up. One man, one voice, accompanying you through the daily routine and the highs and lows of life. He was a fount of exuberance in the good times, or a source of perspective in the bad. And it was that, even more than all the great work Sir Terry did for children in need, or the celebrities he gently mocked in his chat shows, or his pricking of the pomposity of Eurovision. It was that intimacy in the everyday that brought him so close to people. Terry's voice was warm, genial, dry, funny, but it was always life-affirming. And the importance of his voice cannot be understated. We know that the uniqueness of each and every voice is part of what makes us the people that we are. In the various books of the Bible, God doesn't appear in great swirling visions. He makes himself heard through his voice, speaking to people's hearts. And when loved ones are taken away, it is the absence of their voice, which is often one of the most difficult things to come to terms with, as the silence strangely deepens. In November, my own mother died very suddenly. She was exactly the same age as Sir Terry. Her voice, each and every day, is something I deeply miss. It will be exactly the same for Sir Terry's family at the moment, who are very much in our prayers. And in a different way, the loss of this much-loved voice is already an experience shared by his wider family of listeners, woven into the fabric of the life of millions of people right across the nation. And I'm sure, John, that our prayers are that Terry, just across the way there, may rest in peace.
Indeed. Thank you very much indeed, Rob. That was Thought of the Day with Rob Marshall.